Our speaker today is Paulo Nunes. And thank you, Paulo, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you.
And Paulo will give an introduction about Cosibot, a COVID-19 stay-informed bot that they have been building, if my understanding is correct, the last couple of weeks. Is that right?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
3 weeks, all right. So I was wondering, so far, what are the most common questions you are receiving? And if you see any location-based difference between the questions, especially on a country level?
I have to admit, I haven't prepared myself with hard numbers for this question. You sent me the question on time. Thank you, Cornelia, but unfortunately I didn't have time to prepare. But we have a few top questions that are the symptoms. It seems to be the top question. What are the symptoms? Mm-hmm. And that's regardless of the countries So we have. I'll speak about that in a minute. We have 3 bots right now for basically 3 versions, and that's the top question in all 3 of them. What are the symptoms? And then in Germany, which is the bot with the most usage right now, it seems that the biggest concern is masks. So that's the second top question in Germany. Where can I get masks? Are masks effective? There seems to be a lot of misinformation about that, and people have questions. And the third top question is around how long is this going to take, right? Which is something that nobody really knows. So I don't think Cosibot will help there. But those are the top questions in Germany.
All right. Thank you very much, Paulo. And the screen is yours. I'm going to mute myself for the time of the recordings and also go offline from the video.
Sure. I think you need to give me the permissions to share my screen. I don't think I have them now.
Let me check. I think I have given you, but just double checking. You should be able to share your screen.
All right. Seems to be working now.
Mm-hmm. It was just because I was still sharing.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Cosibot.
Right. So thanks again, Cornelia, for the invitation. It's a pleasure and an honor to be able to speak to such an interested audience in this area. As you mentioned before, I worked myself in this area for a few years. I was in I did a master's in machine learning in 2003. So a few years ago already, and then I moved to the space industry, and I worked there for 10 years. Did some machine learning there, not a lot of NLP. Around 8-9 years ago, I moved to insurance in Switzerland, and I was 5 years in Zurich at a large insurance company, and there. We did a lot of NLP. Myself, I didn't have a lot of hands-on contact with it. So, but our team did a lot of NLP work, and that's through that connection that I know you, Cornelia, from that company. So, and then now we're here. So the talk today is not going to be too technical. So I was on the last talk last week. Very interesting, very technical. Today it's going to be a bit less technical. It's more about how are we trying to approach this problem, and what challenges that we face, what challenges that we're facing right now, and what kind of help we could use, in what ways. So what problem are we solving? So first we are answering to the cries of the population, and we can see that those cries are real. People have information. The information comes from everywhere. Not everything is reliable. Not everything is up to date. There's a lot of fake news. The information is spread. It's conflicted, very opinionated. I don't know. For example, you cannot take ibuprofen. If you have COVID-19, you can die. Clear misinformation. There's no empirical data that proves that at all. The information, the problem with the masks, right? People tend to think that the masks protect them when in most of the case they don't. So and so on. So there's this is one of the challenges. The other challenge is obviously what the public authorities have. So they are flooded with requests. They have the challenge of answering people's questions, and sometimes they're very simple questions, and they don't have an easy way of providing information. I don't know if you try to call one of these hotlines, regardless of the country that you're in. I'm in Germany, for example, in Munich, and I had a few symptoms last week, and I sort of tried to call one of these hotlines, and I get no answers at all, right? And I still have those symptoms today. To be honest, I'm not sure if I have the virus or not, but I cannot even get on the phone with any of these lines. And I'm guessing this is a common challenge in most countries right now. And that's another challenge we are addressing with this solution. So Cosibot is the solution we're presenting. We bring information together from reliable sources and make it available through a chatbot or conversational AI, whatever term you prefer, over multiple channels. So that's it. It starts by being a simple question answering system that is available in multiple channels. So you can talk to it on the website. You can send a message to it, text message through SMS. You can use WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or any of the channels that might be relevant and people are keen in using. And there's a lot of advantages to such a solution because we are able to aggregate information in one single place in a similar way that Google does, except that Google is a completely different scale, and Google answers questions about everything, not just about this topic. And again, Google is a good place to find answers, but you probably have the experience that you don't always get reliable information there, right? So it's a challenge, and this is what we're trying to do here. So we think that the time to act is now, right? So we need to put this out there, make it available now. We started working on it 3 weeks ago, and our direction now is to have two versions, a global, international version in different languages that is just a sort of generic Q&A about the virus, generic information about numbers in different, how many cases that exist in each country, how fast things are progressing in each country, a sort of global version, and then the local versions, where the bot can answer more localized questions about, I don't know, where should I call, what number should I call if I have these symptoms? What is the, where can I get tested in Zurich? Things like that, right? So this kind of questions. So right now, so again, this is the result of 3 weeks of work. Right now, we have 3 versions working. We have already an international version out there that uses information from the World Health Organization, United Nations, and others in English and available in 3 channels and on the website, on Facebook Messenger and SMS. Still getting approved by WhatsApp. It's a longer process. We hope it's going to be live this week, the WhatsApp channel. So this is the international version we have live right now. Then we have a German version for Germany. So for in German is the language, Germany is the country, and there we have local or national sources of information like the Ministry of Health, the Robert Koch Institute, a very reputable institute in Germany, and some other reputable and mostly and only public sources of information. Right here, the goal is to expand it to English and Turkish. So the version for Germany will have the English and Turkish. We already have now a version online that works with on the web, Facebook Messenger, SMS, and again, WhatsApp is under approval. I also have a Portugal, a version for Portugal. Why Portugal? Because most of our team in the ROBO.AI sits there. So our R&D and engineering team is mostly there. So we also released it. Actually, it went live today. And again, Portuguese is the language. We want to provide an English version. And it's available already on the web, Facebook, and SMS. So these are the three versions that we produced in the international one, the one for Germany and the one from Portugal in the last 3 weeks. With the small team that we have, we are a startup. So I think that as a result of 3 weeks, this is pretty remarkable. And this is our vision. Our vision and our plan is to expand to 28 countries. So all the EU countries, plus Switzerland and the UK. Actually, I think that counts to 29. Sorry for that. And we would like to approach this in regions. So German-speaking region, then Southwest, then UK and Ireland, Scandinavia, Greece, Malta, and Cyprus in Eastern Europe, and the Benelux. Forgot that. So we want to sort of approach it in different regions, one at a time, but we need to be very fast. So this is very ambitious, and it's a lot of bots to maintain. If you think that you'd need at least one bot per country, you are already with 29 of them. There are commonalities between them, things that can be reused, but in the end, there are at least 29 different, for example, different phone numbers to which you can send a text, or 29 WhatsApp numbers, and so on. 29 versions on the website. So we need we need a solution to scale this, basically, in other words. Probably the 29 bots is not the right solution. So this is what I'm talking about next. So we are getting a bit more technical now. This is more or less the architecture. So on the left side, you see the channels that people use. In order to get access to those channels, we need to have some companies that provide us those services. So, for example, to provide SMS, we need a company that to talk to a SMS aggregator company. For example, in order to provide Facebook Messenger, we need to go through Facebook, and so on. And so we need those so-called channel providers. Then we also have support for voice. So we need speech to text and text to speech providers. We don't have our own technology for that, so they are also part of the solution. Then we have the chatbots and the voice bots inside our platform called ROBO.AI. So chatbots are sort of characters or points of entry. So it's an entity to which you can send a message. And typically a chatbot will have an NLP model, language classification model, an entity extraction model, and a conversational engine. So I send a message to the bot. The bot does typically two things or three. It first starts to classify my message to understand what my intent is. It tries to extract entities from it and see if there are known entities in there. Things like symptoms, different kinds of symptoms like headache or fever, right? Those would be symptoms, and that would be an entity, right? And then maybe we do some sentiment analysis also of what the person is writing, if it makes sense. Then those inputs are taken, and there's a context of a conversation. If a conversation is already ongoing, and then the conversational engine makes a decision on what basically to answer and what to say next, where to take the conversation to. The conversation engine right now, it's rules based, so it's not machine learning based, because we simply don't have enough data to train conversational engine that just by training it with examples. I'm sure there's a lot of machine learning experts in this audience, and I think that you will agree with me that in order to create a chatbot that is trained based on examples, you need a certain volume of data, which we don't have, at least not yet. And annotated data, right? So for this kind of question, this is the right answer. That needs to be implicitly or explicitly annotated in order to train a model like that. So our conversational engine is rule-based. Then we have a few more things. So we have a knowledge base that the bot can fall back to if it's not able to understand what the question is about. It tries to search the knowledge base and give answers. We have some content crawlers that pick information, that get information from the sources that we're using and APIs. And we have a sort of bot training console that allows people to train the bot and teach it to provide better answers. So going back to this, so we need to, so if we think about developing solutions to all these countries, right? Each country will have different data sources. There will be some commonalities, but there will be some specific things that the bots need to be able to answer and talk about the specific countries. And this adds to these information data sources to the right. And it means that each bot will need to have, would need to be slightly different and have slightly different building blocks in order to be able to answer sometimes different questions, sometimes the same question, but provide a different answer. Right? So there's different challenges, not only with the variety, different bots that we have, all sorts kind of sources of information, but there's also another dimension, which is the number of languages that are supported, and yet another, which is the channels that we're supporting, which don't all support the same media. So sending a message to Facebook Messenger that allows you to, I don't know, show a couple of buttons is not the same as sending a text over SMS. Not the same things are supported. So yet you need to write maybe an SMS answer and the Facebook Messenger answer and a WhatsApp answer to the same question, right? So one of the challenges, again, is the multi-language aspect. And challenges like, so what about Facebook, right? So do we provide Facebook pages in different answers. For example, if we have the international bot, it's going to support 6 languages: English, Spanish, French, Arabic, Russian, and Chinese, Mandarin. So if we do that, how many Facebook pages will we have for that international bot in multi-language? Will we have one, and we let people, when the person starts the conversation, choose the language? How do we do that? Do we need a sort of meta bot that allows people to choose the language and then direct it to the right bot? So this is a challenge. And then what about maintaining the content in different languages? You need multi-language models, or you need to maintain separate models, probably more realistic, right? One model per language for classifying questions. And obviously answers in every language. And then again, you need to keep that all up to date, right? Then you have the country bots. So there are similar challenges to the fact that you have multi-language. Well, let's take the case of Switzerland. There's 3 languages that we should support: German, French, and Italian. Plus, we probably want to add English for the expats. So it's 4 languages for Switzerland, right? So how are we gonna handle that, right? And then how deep do we go? How granular do we go in the locality? It's another question. Do we have content for every canton? Do we how deep do we go? How precise do we want to be? Then again, basically common to both challenges before is the keeping of the data up to date. So how do we do that? I mean, right now we are doing it almost manually, right? We have people going to the website, seeing that is there anything new here? Did anything change? So we're already setting up some automated processes to detect that there was a change in some source of information so that we can react. The next step would be actually to gather that data, right, and put it in our knowledge base or put it in some API that we'll have that will be used by the bot to answer questions. Again, full automation is difficult to achieve, but this would be a step in the direction of automation. So, for example, if we constantly collect information about the numbers in Switzerland, we can make that available to the bot, and now we need to develop a conversational interface to that data. For example, how many cases there are in Canton Zurich. So we need to be able to answer that question with numbers coming from an API or a database, right? And then another challenge is the continuous training of the bot. So we have people using the bot. There's thousands of messages being sent every day to the bots, and now what do we do with those conversation logs, right? What do we do with that data? So we also have some pretty good ideas there. We are developing some algorithms that cluster the data together, understand if a sentence belongs to a current topic already covered by the bot. Or if we need to create a new topic, we also do some, so we do some unsupervised, run some unsupervised learning algorithms to identify clusters and new topics. We match those against existing classes and see if and make suggestions to the people who are maintaining the bots. There is some degree of automation in that, but we still have a lot of work to do in order to make that even more automated than it is. So yeah, so this is a joint nonprofit initiative. This is led by ROBO.AI, a company, startup in the area of conversational AI. Supported by our main sponsor is ReadSpeaker. This is a company that provides text-to-speech technology or voice technology. So the voices of our bots are from ReadSpeaker. We have two Impulse, an AI service providing company, KDW, call center provider in Germany, and Wencour, a Spanish-German digital transformation company. We are also looking for, still looking for tech partners in different areas. One interesting thing is the data, right? The bots are only as good as their models. The quality of the models depends on the quality of the data, right? So there are companies out there that provide machine learning data, right? And some of them even use some crowdsourcing approaches to that. So we're still looking for a partner that is willing to support us in that area in order to improve the quality of our machine learning models. So this is one type of partner. The other one is around the speech technology. You're still looking for speech to text, so a voice recognition, voice transcription partner that supports multiple languages, that is willing to provide the technology to the project. For messaging and phone, so we're still paying for the channels, for SMS, for WhatsApp. We're also looking for a partner that helps us that, and also a cloud provider to host the entire solution. We're making progress, but we still have some work to do here. Also, media and communication, the bot, only if the bot is known and is used by a lot of people, it becomes useful, because the fact that the people are using it, we can use that data to retrain it and make it better and better. So we need help to make this known, and for that we need some media partners, either agencies that helps us, or directly the press that mentions us and makes this make this basically famous. Sponsors. So we're also spending cash ourselves. Our goal is not to make money, it's to cover the expenses. So this is again a non-profit initiative, but we are spending money, and we as a startup are basically hitting the limit of the resources that we can put in. So in order to make this big, we also need sponsors to contribute. One more thing, and this might be interesting to, I think the majority of this audience here is that you can also contribute with your time and your skills. So we're looking for different kinds of skills here, and also NLP skills. So if you have time, and if you are willing to contribute to this, we'll need all the help we can get. So you're welcome to join the team. This is a timeline which is still very tentative. So we've already launched the international version in English, in German version in German, and the Portuguese version in Portugal. So we are ahead of the schedule that we actually have foreseen. And the next step would be to go for these countries, but we are opportunistic. So depending on how much support we get, from where this support comes, we might go approach different groups first. And again, whether or not we are able to expand to all these countries, it depends a lot on how much support we're going to get, right? So, yeah, and this Cosibot, so what we are learning here and the technology that we're developing, and can be used for this crisis today, and to make a difference in communication today. But our vision is also that this can be reused. Crises happen. This will probably not be the last pandemic, and we clearly see an application of this kind of solution to future crises. And and also eventually to enterprise to support business continuity and internal communications and so on. So thanks again for the opportunity. I think that there are some questions out there.